Hey y'all, Ramdino here, coming at you again for another Appalachian Trail community news, through hiker update, and trail information. Well, we got a lot of stuff going on. A lot of folks have checked in this week, so we need to get right to it. But before I do, one of the important things, most important thing today is that I give a shout out to my son, Chance. Chance has finished with his nursing program, passed his finals, and now he is stepped through a huge door, ready to get on with his career. Got to pass the state boards, but to him, that he feels like that's going to be a piece of cake, because nursing school was so hard. You got no partial credit in any of the tests, and you do. All the tests are kind of geared toward the state boards, and you get partial credit on the state boards, but not in class. And so, tough grind, but man, you made it, Chance, and I am so dang proud of you. Proud father here. So, looking forward to the next chapter in your life. Now, another exciting thing is this is my first premiere. So, and a premiere is basically, I'm going to be watching this video as you watch it. There should be a chat box over here. Should be already rolling. Hey, I'm going to be there chatting if I figure out how to do it. So if I don't figure out how to do it and I don't show up and I don't respond to your chats, well, I'm an idiot and I'll figure it out later. But let's go ahead and talk about what's going on the trail and the thru hikers out there. So we got Commander. He has hit Klingman's Dome and passed the 2,000 mile marker. Misc is he is flip flopper number 79, and he made it to the Lookout Hostel, and he is continuing on. He said the most interesting thing that happened recently was the crossing there at Clark's Creek. Here's a picture of his buddy Muck, who was trying to get across it, and of course doesn't look like too tough of a ford there. But anyway, it was really flooded due to the rain. They weren't sure it was safe, but obviously they made it there. So good to know there at Clark's Creek you may have a little bit of swift water there on the ford. McDuck, the Okie, and JFK, they have passed the 1/3 mark and joined the Blue Ridge Parkway, and they should be in Glasgow today. They said they can't get over the incredible wildflowers that with everything blooming out this week. And of course, those folks in that area there in Central Virginia, Northern Virginia, they are hiking with spring. And actually in West Virginia, even though it was spring, we had snow up in West Virginia. Of course, we had snow at higher elevations. I saw some on Roan Mountain Highlands. I don't know if Grayson Highlands and Mount Rogers area had any or not, but in any case, it's supposed to be spring. People are hiking with it now, and so that's one neat thing, is that eventually it'll take you over, but enjoy it while you can. Silver, she's back on trail after taking some time off to take care of her mom, and she should hit Glasgow in a few days. Topo here, and he is, I think, the most northern Nobo that we got. So he is up in the Whites, done Franconia Ridge. He is going through the presidentials, may already be through there. Of course, we saw some significant snow that our northern correspondent Whispers had sent to us from last week. And so according to Topo, he said that it was very slow moving there. For anyone that's getting ready to enter the Whites, here's some insight. There are areas where you are post-hole for miles in the decaying snow, and areas where the trail is iced over. Very slow moving, so either accept moving slow, or he says wait it out. He's also carrying snowshoes, trekking poles, and rocker spikes. He said the snowshoes are helpful but not absolutely necessary, but micro spikes are a must. And he also said tracking poles are helpful too. So I don't know how you do it just on a regular trail without tracking poles, much less needing them up there in the snow. But anyway, Topo, thanks for that trail information up there. And that's awesome. You're already up in the Whites. Scott Hatfield, he is one of the last Nobos to leave down from Amicalola Falls State Park. And but he's through hike before. He's done the JMT. He attempted the PCT. He's been on the United Highline Trail and the Southwest Coast Path Trail. He did those. He through hiked all of those. So, but he's made it out to trail. He had to take a couple double zeros because he fell down Blood Mountain. I don't know how far you fall when you fall down Blood Mountain, but the time I did it, you could fall a pretty good ways. He says he's lucky he didn't break his ankle, but he took some double zeros to get some quality time for healing there, and he is back on trail and in North Carolina. So that's good to hear. OG, who is from my hometown, he's up trail, and he's somewhere around north of Waynesboro. and he said that he has gotten bit by a dog. And that was actually a week ago when he got bit. So he hiked out of Waynesburg, got to the top of a little calf, and there was a young couple with 2 dogs up there. And as is oftentimes the case, and I know OG has dogs at home and he misses them a lot. One of his videos showed him saying goodbye to his dog, which really kind of choked me up. But and y'all know how much I love dogs and animals in general, pets in general, but particularly dogs. You've seen my dog Coda running around behind us occasionally. But anyway, he asked the guy if he could pet it. When hikers are out on the trail, they miss their animals, and so they want that touch just to pet another animal. And so the guy said, sure. So when he bent down to pet him, the dog bit him. I mean, it took a huge chunk out of his arm. That's probably the worst dog bite I have ever seen on trail. And he bandaged it up and hiked on. And then that night he looked at it and decided he needed medical attention. Got in touch with a trail angel that shuttled him to urgent care. They gave him some antibiotics. They didn't stitch it up because they said if they did, it would trap the infection from the dog's mouth in there. And so it just, I guess you just keep it bandaged and just keep as much clean as possible and just let it ooze. But he just letting all hikers know that dogs out there on the trail, they can be spooked by our backpacks. He ain't gotten close to another dog since, and he says that was a nice black lab. So, you know, any dog can be turned mean, but most of the time labs are not. But any dog can be spooked, and when they're out there in the wilderness like that, they tend to get spooked a little easier, and particularly when they're around their masters out in the wilderness, they're feel like they're a lot more protective out there because they're in a strange place. They're probably stressed, and so there had been numerous times where I had been backed down by a dog snapping at me. I specifically asked the owner, hey, is your dog okay? And they're like, oh yeah, he's fine, he never wouldn't hurt a flea. And the next thing I know, he is, a big dog yapping at me and snapping at me and stuff, and your adrenaline level goes up even if you don't get bit. And so for the next couple hours, my hike sucks. And that's kind of one of the reasons I'm not, I know it's a big controversy about having dogs on trail. Some people for it, some people against it. I like to see people enjoying their animals, but at the same time, I just don't know about them on trail because of the encounters I've had. The people that I know have been dog bit out there. You are supposed to keep them on a leash at all times and under control with a leash. And there's just so many times that I've hiked up to the top of where a view was, and I've come around a corner of rocks or bushes, and all of a sudden a dog was there and just surprised him. He came at me, even though he was a nice dog. He wouldn't bite anybody. So too many times I've been snapped even by dogs that people were, little yip dogs people were holding, that I've tried to walk past them on the trail and the dogs lunged out at me, and the person, didn't have as good a control as they thought. So for me, the jury's still out about dogs on trail. I know a lot of people probably gonna get flamed because of that, and that's a discussion for another day. But anyway, OG says it is healing up nicely, and one of the things I told him, I said, hey, look on the bright side. Looks like he's reduced your trail weight by about 1 pound, because he took a pound of flesh out of your arm. So OG, hope you get to feeling better out there. And he said it hadn't slowed him down any. He is through Shenandoah, crossed past the 1,000-mile mark, and he's checked in at the Harper's Ferry, so he's further along than I thought he was. He was number 406 at Springer as Nobo, and now he's number 96 at Harper's Ferry. So he took a day off there with his wife, hung out for a while, and he says he'll be in Pennsylvania in the next day or so. So that's awesome, OG. OG, thanks a lot for that report and the warning about dogs out there. Surefoot, he has made it to Duncannon yesterday, and he has already walked out of there. He partnered up with a guy named Prepper. His trail name was Prepper in Virginia, and they hiked together for around 460 miles. So that's a long time to be with a guy out there. But when they got to Fayetteville, Pennsylvania, Prepper found out he had a nasty heel infection. Went in to the hospital. They admitted him immediately, and he had to have 2 surgeries to take care of that, and he is off trail now. So that's tough, not only for Prepper, but also there for Surefoot, who lost a you know, a guy, even if there was only 2 of them in their family, they've been together 460 miles, so that's quite a bit. He said he had an excellent partner, and he hated to lose him. So hopefully you'll find another family to fall into, Surefoot, and hopefully Prepper, all that healing will take place, and he'll be good to go. Canvasback and YOLO are almost finished with Shenandoah National Park. They say they'll be in Harper's Ferry next week. Sassafras Jim, he is in the Smokies, and he is using the southern part of the Smokies to heal a broken leg that he had to get off trail, go home, get fixed, rehabilitate, and now he's back out in the Smokies using that for rehabilitation and continuing his through hike. So don't know if that was doctor prescribed or not, kind of doubt it, but he has said that there's frost on the tents in the mornings, and he's even woke up to some snow and ice still on the ground. He gave himself a few days there in Gatlinburg, and he is back on trail now. And this picture he's seen in is from Rocky Top. So he says he's still enjoying the trail. Everything's going fine now with the broke leg. Life is good. So that's awesome to hear, Sassafras Jim. Lucky colleague from the UK, he is past the quarterway tree. So that's awesome to hear. Says he's almost to Bland. He is loving it. Everyone here is helpful. The terrain is more forgiving, and he's really having a great time. So that's awesome coming from the UK. That he's enjoying the folks here, and everybody's being kind to him. So appreciate you, hiker community, folks coming in, particularly from out of the country, that you just welcome him into this community like you always do, and that's just really neat. He is raising money for cancer research. As he says, his mom died when he was a boy from cancer, and his sister also battled cancer, and she eventually, I believe she was cured, certainly in remission, but it was very brutal, the treatments that she had. So his YouTube channel is Englishman Just Walking. He's raising money there, so go and check him out. And then Sid Fair, he has crossed the 500-mile mark. So congratulations to him. He is also hiking to raise money for 2 organizations for veterans. So I'm a veteran. Veterans are near and dear to my heart. And he is currently in Virginia. So far, he's raised over $8,000. He's trying to raise $250,000. His website is at4veterans.com. I'll leave a link down below in the description for that. But Sid is an Army Ranger that was wounded in action. They patched him back up and put him back together. And so now he is able to hike the Appalachian Trail even in his 60s. He's a veteran. His brother was a veteran. His son's a veteran. His dad was a veteran. His brother-in-law is a veteran. His cousin a veteran. His nephew is a veteran. So he literally bleeds red, white, and blue. So Sid, you need to take care of yourself out there, because if you fall down, they're not going to be able to find a blood transfusion in red, white, and blue for you. So good luck. Stay safe out there. Thank you for your service. And thank you for raising money for the veterans at the at4veterans.com website. Patriarch, he just passed the quarter mark sign this morning, and he is curious to know when that sign on that tree was put there. So if you know when it was put there, I have no idea. And of course, it's always there every year, even though the trail changes. So they don't move the tree and they don't move the sign. So be curious to know who put that there. Goose and Maverick, they have made it to the quarterway tree, and they are on into Bland, Virginia. They say Virginia has been sweet, and for that section, they've had smooth sailing so far, and they'll be hitting the 600-mile mark any day now. Said the trail has been great to them and their bodies. They are definitely hearing reports from hikers coming down with norovirus up this way. So again, they're up in Bland, Virginia area, and they are hearing about norovirus up there. So talk a little bit more about the norovirus in a minute, but keep that in mind. They say the weather has been all over the place. They've had hot, cold, snow flurries, hail, rain, all 4 seasons in one day. So but they are enjoying it. Matador, he is past the 200-mile mark on his 14th day of hiking, and he's nearoed in Gatlinburg. He's had some knee issues on the 4th day, and he's hiked ever since with them, and that has gotten a lot better, and he says he should be in Hot Spring in the next few days. Phil Ryder, he is checking in for his 200-mile mark there at Klingman's Dome, and he'll be 0 in at Gatlinburg, and is going to be checking on some of the different museums and stuff down there, including the world's largest hot sauce museum. Mountain Lion, Barely, and Strider, they have made it to Carter Gap and took it through zeros, and they are on into the Rhone now. Should be finishing. They say they have experienced some snow as they were coming in there over the over Rhone Mountain area. Extra and Jelly Bean, they are north of the Shanties, and after a quick skip ahead due to a few zeros, she had a broken tooth that had to be removed, and they had to go all the way back home to Georgia to do it because they couldn't find a doctor there, and rental cars were an issue, and they even tried to rent a 14-foot moving van and couldn't find that to rent. So not sure what was going on. There may have been Bristol, Tennessee races, may have been this past weekend or during this week is usually what shuts down all the rental opportunities in that area. But in any case, they are back on trail. Trash Hiker, he is through Delaware Water Gap. Wedge, he has made it 800 miles and he's heading into the Shanties. Dosing Trotties, he has made it through the Pond Wilderness area. Absolutely love Laurel Falls and camping by the riverside. Made a stop there at Boots Off Hostel, and he says that has been the best shower yet on the AT. And he plans to Nero in Damascus, probably going to be tomorrow or the next day when he does that. So that's awesome to hear. 3TAC has made it through the Rhone and should be in Damascus by this weekend. She said she had seen trail maintainers out and they had indicated that more was coming. Also had an update from New Hampshire. New Hampshire hadn't been typically updating me. She does that for the hiking community through her channel and everything out there. And she gets plenty of views from that. But thanks a lot for her doing that. That was nice of her to do it. And she is literally her trail name is New Hampshire because she's from New Hampshire, and that's how they pronounce New Hampshire in New Hampshire is New Hampshire. So that's her trail name is New Hampshire. If that makes any sense at all. So she's walking home and then going to keep on going one more state up. But she has passed the 1,000-mile mark. Ron 78, he's made it to Parisburg. Oz, he has made it past Glasgow and be in Wayne's World in the next couple days. Here's a shot of him up there from McAfee's Knob. So that's awesome to see him doing that. Frodo, he has made it past the ice cream challenge, which means he has made it past the halfway point. And then he did 46 miles to get into Duncannon to the shelter 501, and he should already be past Port Clinton by now. Wrong Way is past the 200-mile mark on her flip-flop and surfing the cliffs on the trail wherever she can find them. Stretch is past Marion. Guapo, he is through the Smokies. He did run into No Rush, so No Rush had been in Gatlinburg for about a week or so, and now No Rush is supposedly, he claims he is the last official Sobo, so much so that the ATC wrote last on his hiker tag. Instead of giving him a number, he got the words last on it. But Guapo ran into No Rush there, and he was on the southern end coming into Fontana. Cobweb Rose, Snapshot, Mount Crusher, and Lucky, they have made it to Marion in time for a hiker trash party there at the Marion Outdoors local outfitter there. So that was pretty cool for that outfitter to put that on. Looks like everybody was having a ball at that. Up Down, he is with Agile on the Trail, and finally Agile on the Trail received a trail name of Voices. And so he and Voices are still hiking together as of Cinco de Mayo, and they've reached Irwin. They are approaching the 100-mile per week mark, so they've definitely got their trail legs for that, and they're on track to reach trail days on time. Magilla Gorilla and Hotfoot was formerly Broomhilda. She is now Hotfoot, and the reason she got the name Hotfoot is because they were at a camp or at a shelter somewhere. Another hiker spilt boiling water on both of her feet, and she had second-degree burns on her ankles and her feet. And of course they had to go in and get that treated. They stayed at Iron Masters for several days to get some sterile healing. So, and they want to give a shout out to the shuttle driver Junker and Missy from Iron Masters for helping her get healed and everything. So got to be careful around those stoves, whether you're the person with the stove or the person that's around those. So that's how, but she's got a new trail name now, and instead of Broomhilda. Fearless and Hero, they have hit the 500-mile mark on their Novo flip-flop, and they are finally finishing Virginia. They say the people they've met along the way have been worth the aching feet and every cold, rainy slog mile that they've done on the trail. They did ask me to talk to Mother Nature and let Mother Nature know that March is over. Unfortunately, my mother never listened to me. My children's mother never listened to me. And Mother Nature don't listen to me either. So that would just be throwing my pearls towards the swine. So I don't have any input from Mother Nature. She's going to do what she's going to do. Barkman, Point 7 and R2 are into New York, and they should hit Connecticut sometime around tomorrow. Boston, he's made it to the Washington Monument up there in Maryland, and he said it was his first sunny day there in a week. Beeger and B Sweet, they are through their own, and they hope to hit trail days right on time. Walmart's is leaving Hot Springs as he's going to hit the 10,000 mile mark this year. So Walmart pretty much is a perpetual hiker. Met him one time there at Uncle Johnny's in Irwin, and that was pretty neat to meet him. And I think he was on his second through hike then. So obviously he's on like his fourth or fifth now, but that's what he does. He hikes. And I think most of those are on the Appalachian Trail. Queen of Hearts, Habits, and their daughter Xena, they are in the Graceland Highlands area. So they're a family that's hiking together. They're excited to be injury-free, hiking strong, doing 16 to 20 miles per day. They are enjoying all their Neros and Zeros and all the towns that they go to out there. And they just said that the trail angels up throughout the course of their trail have just been unbelievable. And so they want to thank all those trail angels that have done that. Mama Nita had a bad fall on the trail on Monday, gashed her lip and chipped her tooth. She also went into shock from the fall. And so Zpacks sends that in and just lets everybody know that you might want to bone up on how to treat people for shock. I don't know if the ATC, that was part of their first aid training in order to get your bag tag, was helping you know how to treat another hiker for shock. Hopefully it was, but in any case, that's something you ought to go Google just in case somebody in your family gets hurt. But she's just, and we'll talk about her in just a minute. But Zpacks, he is coming into the Triple Crown, and he should be somewhere around Dragon's Tooth. So some folks that we have got off trail, Lucky from the Cobweb Rose Tramley, after 500 miles, he decided he'd gotten all he needed out of the trail. And that is something that happens on a regular basis. At some point, somebody just decides, you know what, I've had a great trip, I've enjoyed it, and I'm done. And that's fine. That's perfectly fine to go and do that. I'm sure that the Cobweb Rose family there is going to miss him on that trip. But Lucky is off. And by the way, in the picture that we have right here, Cobweb Rose said that it was 20 degrees wind chill the night before, and in this picture it's 30 degrees wind chill. So obviously we're still getting, it ain't summer yet on the trail, particularly at elevation. About face, he is off due to plantar fasciitis. So that is something that I suffer with, is plantar fasciitis. It's just really hard to treat. Doctors will tell you it's hard to treat. A lot of podiatrists don't know a thing about it, and all they want to do is sell you a $350 set of things to put in your insoles, to put in your shoes. That's what happened to me. And if you're a podiatrist out there, sorry to sound so disparaging, but I didn't have a good podiatrist. He told me the only ways to treat it is insoles, painkillers, or go in there and cut the bone spur out. And there are other ways to treat it, and I have found the best way to treat it, which doesn't give me 100% relief, but goes a long ways, and that's stretching exercises, stretching everything from my glutes to my calves to my Achilles tendon and everything around, because all of that is causing your plantar fasciitis. So that, and I use sole insoles, and I have previously hiked with Brooks that have a rock plate in them. So if you can find a hiking shoe that has a rock plate, I think the rock plate helped out a bunch. And right now I'm trying out some Speed Goats by Hoka. So we're going to see how those do. And like I said, Mama Nina, she did take that bad fall, went into shock. And because of that and the chipped tooth, she's in the cut lip, she's decided that she is coming off trail. So she's going to support Zpacks, but she will no longer, she'll be discontinuing her through hike. So before we get to the news portion, wanted to give a shout out to Mike Immerwar. And Mike, I'm sorry if I completely killed that last name there, but he sent me a super thanks 2 weeks ago. Sorry I didn't recognize you last week, but greatly appreciate those super thanks that people send me. Those help support this channel and help me to do what I do, and to help the hikers that are out there on the trail. So thanks a lot for the people that do that, and people that join my Patreon community. All those things help, and of course by you giving me a thumbs up or leaving a comment and subscribing to this channel, those things help the channel as well. And so thanks a lot for all those folks that do those things. Patreon, if you want to be a Patreon member, links down below, or you can go to my banner where there's a link, and then of course super thanks is right down below this very video. There's a link there where you can go and do that. So what news we got out there? Well, Whispers, our northern correspondent, typically up in the Whites, he says they've had a lot of rain and snow, and they've had enough rain to cause some washouts. So the road going up to Mount Washington which is, you know, it's a huge place that people go, iconic place on the trail, where they've recorded wind speeds over 200 miles an hour, the highest wind speeds in the U.S. And it's also a lot of times this time of year it's snow. Even sometimes in the summer they can get some snow up there. So, but anyway, that road washed out. There's been some other road washouts that are in New Hampshire, but he doesn't feel like those are going to keep people from having access to get to the trail if they need to bail out or they need to get a shuttle somewhere. He thinks that all of those people will be able to do that and get out just fine. Roll Tide, he's our Smokies correspondent. He is a ranger, or I can't remember what you call him now, but anyway, he's up there on trail. He is employed by the ATC, but is in the Smokies, and he's making sure everybody's having a good time basically up there, making sure everybody's safe, helping hikers out, everything. He also, part of his duties is the privies up there. He has to treat the privies, pick up trash, haul all that stuff out of there, pick up trash out of the privies. So when you see Roll Tide, when you go through the Smokies, thank him for what he does, and thank for all those trail rangers up there that do that. That is a thankless task, and they only do it because they love the hiking community and they love hiking. I mean, you got to love other people if you're going to pick in their poop. I can promise you that. So thanks a lot for that, Roll Tide. He said that he thinks the tail end of the bubble is getting through the Smokies. He did indicate he's only actually met 35 through hikers, which I find hard to believe because we've had so many go through there, but maybe people didn't identify as a through hiker. I don't know, but in any case, he's up there, continue that. He also wanted me to continue to stress about noro, and I haven't seen an outbreak specifically in the Smokies, but there has been outbreaks just north of the Smokies, all the way from Standing Bear into Damascus through Hot Springs, and now, like I said earlier, it's up into southern to mid-Virginia. So keep that in mind up there about the norovirus. So don't be handling other people's food bags. Don't be sticking your hand in other people's food bag. Keep your hands clean at all times when you're handling your food. Make sure you're washing up when you're coming back from the cat hole. Just all those things you can do to keep yourself clean. The hand sanitizer does not kill the norovirus completely, and the norovirus can live on surfaces for like a month. So that's your pack, that's the table at the shelter, that's the shelter floor. So don't eat off those things. Don't sit on those things where other people may be eating. Don't cook on those things. So the norovirus is real, and you do not want to look like this and catch the norovirus. So do what you can to avoid that at all costs. Lookout Hostel, they have been seeing a lot of flip-floppers, and the Nobos are starting to mix in with the flip-floppers now up there. So, and then eventually we'll start seeing some Nobos and Sobos, but of course Sobo season doesn't start until around June. The ATC has announced that a stomach bug has hit North Carolina and Tennessee. So the stomach bug they're referring to is the norovirus, and they just put that out. So they're a few weeks behind the curve on the norovirus hitting, because it hit several weeks ago, as we have been putting out on this channel. And so the norabug is, it's not, the norovirus is not just a stomach bug. It affects your whole GI system. So you're going to have it coming out both ends. So to say it's a stomach bug is a very mild way of putting it. It's got to be one of the worst things you'll get. Fortunately, it only lasts 1 to 3 days, but you can still be contagious for 3 days to a couple weeks for somebody else afterwards, after you get over it. So keep that in mind out there. The ATC is so concerned about you that they have created, or so concerned about the stomach bug, that they have created a special email. I think it's stomachbug@atc.org, that they want you to report when you get the stomach bug /norovirus. So to me, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. I guess the next thing is, if you get some more than 3 blisters, or a blister on top of a blister, one of those 2 qualifying events, you would report that to the ATC. So don't worry about them helping you out in any way. They just want to get a report of that. So don't know what they're going to do with that information. They don't typically do a lot with any of the information hikers send them. So, but in any case, they do want to hear about your stomach bug at stomachbug@atc.org. So be sure to report it when you get your stomach bug. The missing hiker in Connecticut. So there was a missing hiker in Connecticut. Apparently she was in her 60s, and they just left all of her equipment at the shelter and just gone. So everything that she had there was at the shelter. And so obviously there was a lot of concern. People raised the red flag, and so the authorities were called, and they looked for her, and they actually found her. So she has been found. Don't know what her name is or any of the details about, was there a problem going on there with her, that she was suffering some type of issue, or it could just be that she went in the woods for a cat hole break, or just to go in the woods to meditate or whatever, got over a hill and from the shelter and got completely discombobulated and turned around, and then she just kept hiking and trying to find the shelter and just got totally lost. So that is something that can happen, and people have died from that before. Fortunately, this time of year, even though there can be snow and freezing temperatures, obviously at elevation this time of year, fortunately that didn't occur with her, and so she was found, and that was put out by the Connecticut State Police there on their Facebook page. Huge thanks to the Trail Angels up around Bland. So the Bland area through there, basically from Chestnut Knob Shelter all the way into Parisburg and Bland, and really north all the way up to pretty much the Dragon's Tooth. The start of the Triple Crown is a really dry section. So even when there's a lot of rain out there, some of those water sources are few and far between. And so having these Trail Angels that drop off water caches up there can literally be a lifesaver, especially protect you from dehydration. Of course, the ATC don't want you to put out water caches for people, and so they basically don't want you to help hikers at all. But thanks a lot to those Trail Angels up there that are doing that in those areas, that are helping them, helping hikers get through that. And then some news on a special Trail Angel, Meatball Muchacho. So Meatball Muchacho is a young lad up in Pennsylvania, and he and his father basically are mobile Trail Angels. So they will hike miles and miles into a shelter and bring food and other stuff and trail magic to people. And so last year, his Wood Booger is the dad's name, and Meatball Muchacho is the son's name. And so last year he did like 400 miles, both of them did, including Meatball Muchacho, taking stuff out there to people on the trail. So that is awesome. You have Trail Angels that do it at trailheads, and you have Trail Angels, other Trail Angels that hike it in. I've heard of people hiking ice cream in, and watermelons and things like that. But anyway, Meatball Muchacho as young boys will do, got injured, but he got injured severely and broke his femur. Here's an x-ray of it. That is a terrible looking break. So right now, they are limited in hiking in. They're only at trailheads, but just a huge shout out to Wood Booger and his son Meatball Muchacho. That is awesome what they do out there and what they're continuing to do. And hope that everything heals up good with you, Meatball, and things go great. Well, folks, it's been a great week, and hopefully I figured out how the Premiere works on this, and we've been chatting the whole time. Otherwise, I'm sorry, and I'll try to figure it out some other time, and we'll do this again. That's all I got this week. As always, appreciate you, and we'll see you out here.